we got to talk about this Brian Callahan thing with not knowing what a catch is in the NFL. All right, so Brian Callahan, the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, had a press conference, very interesting, and this was the play that was in question during the press conference. So third quarter, 13-12, Broncos. Titans had the ball first and 20. Cam Ward lets it rip to Ayomanor, comes down with it, or it looks like he does, or whatever. Ruled not a catch. Let's see if they go into the slow motion. So here's the replay of it. Tough catch. Hell of a player. All right, elbows down, inbounds right here. Okay, so if he controls the ball, which he does, then that should be a catch. Now, Brian Callahan, in all of his wisdom, chose not to review it, and they asked him about that after the game.
It looked like his elbow hit inbounds first.
Yeah, you got to get a foot inbounds too, which we didn't have a clean look at whether his foot was down as well. An elbow doesn't equal 2 feet. So
John Madden's book is literally called an elbow equals 2 feet. I mean, this is insane. Insane for an NFL head coach to say, for an NFL head coach to believe after a game where your team loses by 8 to the Denver Broncos.
His foot would have had to come down as well. We didn't have a clean look, so the call from upstairs was that it wasn't worth challenging.
So I made a very similar video to this with Nathaniel Hackett during his first game, and this isn't Callahan's first game, but with the first game that Nathaniel Hackett coached. And there's only 32 of these jobs as a head coach in the NFL. The Tennessee Titans just had the first overall pick. They just took Cam Ward. Now think about the idea of developing Cam Ward, the future of the Titans, what's that look like? Okay, we're starting anew, whatever. And the guy in charge doesn't know what a catch is. This isn't like an obscure rule. This isn't like, oh, well, can you write a 10-page thesis on illegal motion and illegal shifts and what? This is just a catch. This is just what's a catch, what's not a catch. And if he can't do this, if he can't get this right, what about everything else? What about the more intricate stuff? Game planning, logistics, practice, recovery, long-term vision. I mean, are we supposed to believe that he's looking at analytics and metrics and breaking down tape in a specific way, or is he just shooting from the hip? I think, it's kind of insane when you look at coaches in the NFL, because like I said, there's only 32 of them, and you look at someone like Kevin O'Connell, right? You look at someone like Sean McVay, and you look at someone like Kyle Shanahan, and then you look at, or even like Kellen Moore, the Saints, and you hear him talk, and you hear about how intentional he is and how, to detail he is. And then you listen to this from Callahan, and it's like, damn, brother, in week one, you couldn't even bother to kind of check the rule. You couldn't even bother to check just what a catch is before the game. Like when you were just on the bus on the way to the stadium, couldn't just pull up, hey, what's a catch? I think coaches should have to pass a test. If I was an owner, I would make my coaches pass a test, or if they hire someone to do parts of the test, like you give them an analytics section of the test. If they don't pass that, if they can't do it, you give them 10 different situations. Do you kick the extra point here? Do you go for 2 here? Do you go for on a 4th down here? Do you punt here? Whatever. If they don't pass it, you tell them, all right, you better start learning and pass it, or hire someone to do it. Hire an analytical guy to do this. That's fine. If you're not good at this, Dan Campbell did that. Dan Campbell's first year, I have a video on the channel. He messed up a couple field goal decisions, a couple 4th down decisions. Immediately, the Lions went and hired an analytical team to handle that whole thing. Fine. Like, that's fine. If you're a head coach and you're really good at man managing and you're really good at motivating, or you're really good at X's and O's, but you're not really good at man managing and you're not really good at whatever else. These are multi-billion-dollar companies in one of, if not the biggest company in the world, the NFL. The idea that there's no one in this building, or Callahan's staff, or Callahan, or whoever, he said that, they took a look upstairs or whatever, whoever is up there, the idea that none of them know what a catch is, that's problematic for the Titans. And I don't care how good Cam Ward is, who I think he threw for about 1.8 yards of play this game, so TBD. I don't care how good Cam Ward is or can be or whatever. If this is what's going on in your building, can't do it. Now, this is dramatic. If I owned the Titans, I would have called Callahan in after this, and I would say, listen, explain the problem. Explain the situation. Because if you don't know what a catch is, if you truly don't know that an elbow is 2 feet, then we got to let you go. We got to fire you. Nothing I can do. Nothing I can do. In any other job, especially one where you're getting paid millions of dollars, especially one where you are the guy in charge, you're the CEO, however you want to phrase it. In any other industry, if you don't know the absolute basics to this extent, you probably get fired. You're probably, that's probably all, what are you supposed to do? Right? And I mean, let's listen to it again.
Challenge on the Ayomanor play where they moved out of bounds on the sideline, and it looked like his elbow hit inbounds first.
Yeah, you got to get a foot inbounds too, which we didn't have a clean look at whether his foot was down as well. An elbow doesn't equal 2 feet, so his foot would have had to come down as well. We didn't have a clean look, so the call from upstairs was that it wasn't worth challenging.
I mean, just shocking, and the way he says it too.
Yeah, you got to get a foot inbounds too.
If you're watching the game with someone, and you're watching the game, and we were like the Saints game. I was at the Saints game, the Juwan Johnson play when he lands and the ball comes out. There were some people around us who were like, well, he had the ball when he landed. Shouldn't it be a touchdown? It's like, well, no, you gotta catch it through the ground or whatever. And you can tell that they just kind of, they might have just been at the game, but they're not like a huge football fan, and it is what it is. That's what this sounds like. Like if you're watching the game with somebody and they're like, oh, well, you gotta have a foot in bounds. Think about how insane that rule is. Let's just pretend that was the rule. Think about how crazy that is. How can you always have a foot in bounds? What if you're diving? What if you're doing a diving catch? It's like the idea that in every single catch, you have to have some kind of combo of body parts, but one of the combo has to be a foot. That's crazy. I mean, absolutely nuts. And I don't know if he's, I'm doing this early in the week, so I don't know if he's walked back these comments, or I don't know if they've put out a press release that he's spoke out of, whatever. He's said the wrong thing. He misspoke. He knows what the rule is. But if you're a Titans fan, man, you have to be really concerned with a coach that doesn't understand the rules to this level, who is in charge with turning around a team that had the first overall pick with a pseudo franchise quarterback under center. I mean, you talk about a coaching mismatch. I'm not saying Sean Payton is, the guy from Good Will Hunting, but Sean Payton on one side, Callahan on the other side. Callahan's confused of what a catch is. Absolutely insane stuff, man. Absolutely. Let's see. Here's the rule, in case anybody wants to know. Article 3, completed or intercepted pass. A player who makes a catch may advance the ball. If forward pass is completed by the offense or intercepted by the defense in the field of play, at the sideline, or in the end zone, if a player who is inbounds, A, secures control of the ball in his hands or arms prior to the ball touching the ground, and B, touches the ground inbounds with both feet or with any part of his body other than hands. So, ladies and gentlemen, that means elbow, knee, shin, forearm, any of that, you're good. Any of that equals 2 feet. And C, after A and B have been fulfilled, clearly performs any act common to the game, i.e., extend the ball forward, take an additional step, tuck the ball away and turn upfield, or avoid or ward off an opponent, or he maintains control of the ball long enough to whatever. Somebody send this to Callahan. Wow. But if you're Tennessee, how do you not fire him? You know, like if you're Tennessee, how do you not just fire him on the spot and say, hey man, you know, a prerequisite to being the head coach of this team is you have to know the rules of the game. You know, it's just like it's in today's NFL where there's so much analytics, it's so much of a chess match. It's so much of maximizing the efficiency or maximizing the value out of every single play at every single part. Like every single thing is so maximized now to not even know the rules or to be confused on the rules. Even if he did maybe know it, but just kind of was confused or whatever, even to be confused on the rule. And which I honestly, I kind of find hard to believe. Like, I'm not an NFL head coach, but at no point would I be watching a game and I would think, oh, damn, not a catch. He's got to have a foot in when his elbow's down. Like, you just know those things. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like being like, well, why don't they just kick an extra point because it's worth 2? You know, something like that where it's like, what do you mean? Like, how can you possibly mix that up? You know, so I don't think you do it. I don't think you knew the rule. Like, think about what we're talking about. We are talking about an NFL head coach not knowing what a catch is. How in the world do you have that job? How do you have that job? Week 1. Crazy, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, get on down in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.